Hello, is it me you looking for? I know it's not. You're looking for tutorials, and I respect that. Hello again, and welcome back. So in the previous two tutorials, we moved our data from the context in Django to a bit of AJAX and asynchronous calls. So we are going towards something a bit more modern, still kind of outdated because we are still using jQuery, which, okay, it's very, very popular still. So knowing jQuery doesn't really hurt. And there's a lot of companies still using jQuery. But as we continue, we will start using something a bit more modern like REST API and then React. So the last bit I wanted to do with chart.js is building a line chart representing data for each year, and also do a couple of buttons or maybe like selectors where we can change some settings, and the AJAX call will fetch different kind of data for us. That would be pretty cool. So I would start with the view, and it's pretty cool because we have now this nice structure of our views. So as you might remember, we split the main air pollution view that, okay, it takes care of the posting data, but then if you want to get the table data, it's another view. And then we have air pollution visual data 1, because it's like, I assumed we're going to have more than just one visual, and I'm going to work on the second one. So I'm going to just copy this name so I can keep the same naming. So let's start here, def air pollution visual data 2, request, and we're gonna do something here. I can copy this. I suppose we're gonna send back also visuals data. Let's start visuals data here. Data is some sort of a dictionary. Okay, so as I mentioned before, what I want to do is I want to be able to send some arguments to this view and use that argument to generate different kind of data. And I want those arguments to be a pollutant and summary type. Pollutant will determine what kind of pollutant we're looking at. Is it the PM10, PM2.5, SO2, and so on. And the summary type will determine if we're looking at the maximum value for each country, minimum value for each country, or the average. Okay, so pollutant name will be taken from request dot get dot, and we need to get from the dictionary. So that's a function where we're looking for pollutant, and if it's not there, we just take PM10 as a default. Okay, and then in here we want a summary type is exactly the same. So we go to request.get.get, and we're looking for summary type. And if it's not there, we're gonna always go with max. Okay, and what does that mean? Where is that coming from? Let me build a URL for this, and then you'll see what I mean by that. In here, I'm gonna just copy this. So just Command D, and exactly the same. I just change this to 2. And by the way, you'll see what does it mean to send to return a JSON response. So let's go to our website and go to air pollution. Okay, and then I want to call this view. Okay, and it's the same here, so that's why I'm copying the function, but it's exactly the same in the URLs. So I want to go there and see what I get from there, and I'm getting an empty dictionary, which is correct. For now, we're just sending back this. But let's see here. Let me just put a breakpoint here and refresh. So for now, we're getting PM10 and max because these are the defaults. But I want to pass something in there. How do I pass something into pollutant and summary type into the get arguments? It's pretty easy, and you probably saw it before. You add this question mark here, and you say pollutant is, for example, let's go with the PM2.5. And so we're using this and symbol. I want the summary type to be, let's say, average. Okay, enter, and let's see what I get here. Summary type is indeed average, and pollutant name is PM2.5. So I did pass those arguments through the URL. Okay, and that's pretty nifty. It's similar to sending a form like with post, but in here we don't need to create a form and hide the data. We put it out there because it's easier to then use it as an AJAX call. Okay, so for now I'm gonna just continue. But anyway, we are getting that information from the URL, and that's pretty cool. Okay, so the next step, I suppose I want to get the pollutant from this pollutant name. So pollutant will be pollutant model objects dot get, because we are using the name. If I go to pollutant model using command and clicking on the pollutant in my code, you see that name is our primary key. So I can use that in here. And we want to do name is pollutant name. Okay, so whatever pollutant name we pass, and it has to be in the database, otherwise it's not going to give us any objects. We are passing this name here, and it's looking for that entry in the pollutant table. And then under the summary type, because I want to have those different charts that I generate using the AJAX calls, I want to name them accordingly to their purpose. So if it shows maximum values, I want to give it a maximum prefix before the name. So to do that, I'm going to just do if summary type is avg, then name prefix will be average. Elif summary type is minimum, then name prefix, it doesn't see it, name prefix is minimum, and then else, because I just want to go with those three, so this will be kind of default, catch-all default, so by default maximum. Okay. And then name prefix is maximum. Okay. And I'll see, I want to go with this kind of approach where for example, if I put instead of max, min, or avg, if I go with like, I don't know, I just misspell it and go with this. I want to be able to say, okay, summary type was some gibberish, so I'm going with maximum. And I'll continue doing that in the rest of the code. Okay, so continue. Okay, we also need all years, because we're going to go through all the years. So all years is, and I'm going to tap into the pollutant entry table, because that's where we store the years. So to get a list of unique years, I'm going to do this. From pollutant entry objects, I want to order by year, and then from such ordered query, I want to get the only values year. So I don't care about the name or pollutant level or whatever. All I want is the year, and also I want them to be distinct. Okay, let me leave. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this here, refresh the debugger, and refresh the page. So what I'm getting here is this query set, which shows us only the year, and they're distinct. So we have 14, 15, and 16. Obviously, I don't need to have them as those objects. So I'm going to make this a list. So I'll put that into square brackets to prepare it for the list comprehension. So I want to go with every pollutant entry dot year for PE in this query. Okay, so we're going to go through this query and grab each pollutant entry PE, and this is the pollutant entry, and then we just take a year out of it. And if I refresh and refresh here again, oops, no attribute. Oh yeah, that was, it wasn't an object, it was a dictionary. So we need to take a year out of it like this, not using the dot notation, we are using the square brackets. Refresh, and we have the list here. Cool. Okay, so continue. Another piece of information we need is all countries. All countries is easy because we just go to country.objects.all, and from this, so again, we're doing the list comprehension here, and we just go, or you know what, we can just do list. Okay, because we are actually getting the whole shebang. I want the whole country object. I don't want to just one piece of information about the country. And yeah, so the next line, we will need all the pollutants. So all pollutants is, and we don't need the object here, so we can go with the list comprehension, I just need the names for p in pollutant dot objects dot all. Okay, so in here we are creating a list of all the objects and actual objects, and in here we're just creating a list of names of pollutants. Okay, so that seems to be all the information that I need for aggregating my new data for the new visual. So I'm going to prepare the visual data. There's going to be some format here, and unlike this one here, where I created a visuals data and I named it like this, and then I had some labels and data sets in it. Well, isn't that easier if I just create visuals data for one visual, so I don't need to create sub dictionaries inside, nested dictionaries inside, and I can just give it a name. So I'll name it, and I'll use this prefix that I built just a second ago. So I want to, oh sorry, so that should be a colon, and in here I want to, I'm using this F formatting for string, and I'm putting this name prefix and then space, and let's call it pollution level by country over time. Okay, and we are going to specify if it's average pollution level, minimum pollution level, or maximum pollution level for each country. Okay, next piece of information will be the labels, and that's why, oh sorry, let's select it and press quote. And that's why I wanted those years in here. So that goes here. So that's a list of all the years. We're gonna have a graph where each column is a year. Next year, 2014, 15, and 16, and we have different data sets for each. Okay, and the next one is data sets. Again, quotation, data sets, and in here that's going to be a list, as exactly like in here in the data one. So we had those different data sets, and I also want to have the limit. So I'm going to copy it actually and put it in here. Okay, and now I need to have a look at the visual that I want to use. And what I want to use actually, I'm going to go to chart.js and go to samples, line charts, basic. I'm going with the basic line chart, and I want to get the information about how it's being built. And what I can do, I can download it or I can inspect it. So if I go to elements, I can actually see how it's being built. So if I go to the script, I can see just here what kind of information goes in. So I need a label for each data set. So as you can see, here is the labels. I put that already as the years. And then we have data sets, and in each data set we need some information like label, background color, border color, and then there's data and the fill. Okay, so let's go back. So we have the label, we have background color, we need the border color as well. So I'm going to just Command D and change that to border color, and exactly the same. We don't use stacks, so delete that. Data is, well, that's going to be for the limit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this pollutant that I got from the arguments, and I found the object in the database, and I'm going to use that as the value. So pollutant dot limit value. Okay, and we need that data to be as long as the length of the labels. So if we have 5 years of data, we need 5 times of that pollutant limit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the star operation and just use length of all years. Okay, so that's the length of our labels. As you can see, I put that in here. And if we have 5 years, then we are going to have 5 values exactly the same, because we assume it doesn't change. The limit is always the same. So I'm going to put that like this. And one last bit is the fill false. So we don't fill the bottom of it. So I'm going to just change. I'm going to add that in here. No, not in here. We need to be inside of the bracket. So maybe I can just put that down, comma, and fill is false. And in here we're using Python still. So it can be, it needs to be capital letter. And in JavaScript, then it becomes lower case. But right, okay. So that should be it for the initial data for visual data. Let's go down, and in here, I'm gonna start going through our data. So I wanna go through countries first. So for country in all countries, do this. First, we need to initialize some country data, just like in here. So I can actually copy this, copy, and put that in here. Obviously, we don't want that to be Option Command L. What happened here? Option Command L, be nice. Okay, and so I want to change this to country name, country.name. That's why I wanted to store country objects in all countries, so I can get some information from it. The same here. I want country.color. The same here. Country.color. Data will be some list, okay, ready list where I'm gonna add some information about each year, and then fill is still false, and then I want to hide it. So each country will be initially hidden. Okay, let's make it a bit smaller. Okay, cool. And now I'm gonna do something pretty cool. So I'm gonna already add that to visuals data. So visuals data, and I want to get the data sets, and I want to append this country data. Okay, and you might be thinking like, hey, wait a second, we didn't finish this. This is not ready. Like, we need to add some data in here. But because Python by default is passing by reference, so we still have the reference to data that we are appending to visuals data. So whatever we put in there inside of the visuals data list data sets, we still have the control. We still have the reference to it. We can still add that information to country data in here, and it will update inside of visuals data, which is pretty cool. If you have any experience with like C or older languages, you know, when you pass something, you pass the value that would be copied inside anything that you pass somewhere. In here, we're passing something and we keep the reference to it, which is pretty cool. Okay, so now we want to go through the years. So for year in all years, we want to get some aggregation about either average, minimum or maximum, okay, depending on the argument from the request. So one thing that will be repetitive is the filter that I'm going to use. So I'm going to just put it in here and go that pollutant will be pollutant, and year will be year, and also the country will be our current country. So that comes from here because we're going through the years, and then that comes from here because we're going through the countries, and the pollutant comes from up here because we passed that as an argument and we found it in the database, so we link it like this. Okay, and now I want to go and check what kind of data I'm getting. So if summary type is average, then I have to do the average magic. So let's say country total is pollutant entry dot objects dot aggregate like before, and now the summary, I just give it an S for summary, is a sum of pollutant level, and I'm passing the filter like this, F. So I'll do that 3 times. That's why I put that in F. So it's just shorter in here and it's quicker. And I want to get S because the return of this will be a dictionary with this as the key. So I just grab that and I just want to extract the value from this dictionary. Okay, so we have the total. Now country count is pollutant entry dot objects dot filter, and I'm going to filter by this F again, the same filter, and I'm just asking about the count. Okay, and the average. So I'm going to just pass that as data. So country data, I'm accessing this. I want to append, and what I want to append is total divided by count. But as you might realize that if that's 0, then we're going to get an error here. So I need to make sure that it's not 0. So if country count, else give me just 0. So that's going to tell us that there's no data for this. Okay, elif summary type is minimum. We're gonna do country minimum, pollutant entry, objects, aggregate, and again the summary will be minimum of pollutant level. So find me the lowest number that you can find using this filter. Filter is F. Okay, and I'm looking for again S summary because I put that S in here. And so then country data, we're gonna get this data and append. And if we don't find anything in this filter, then the answer is none. We found nothing, so there is nothing to put in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, hey, give me country minimum, if country minimum, else give me 0. And that's gonna be like, okay, if it's 0, then we just don't have data. And else, and again, I'm doing else because I want to be safe in here. If somebody made a mistake and put the wrong pollutant, the wrong summary type, I just assume, okay, we're gonna go with the max then. Country max is pollutant entry, objects, aggregate, which is the summary, will be max, and of pollutant level, and we are filtering by F. Okay, and we're grabbing S. Same story, country data, accessing data, and appending country max, if country max, else 0. Okay, and I think that should be it. Let me just refresh and let's go and check. So let's go here and refresh, and let's see visuals data. So let's just continue from here to the end, all the way here. I can see there's an error there. Resolve keyword S into field. Let me see. What is an error here? Oh, I can see. It shouldn't be pollutant level, it should be pollution level. Pollution level, pollution level, pollution level. Okay. Refresh. Refresh. Let's go here. So we went through the code and we have something to return. The name is maximum pollution level by country over time. Then we have the labels 2014, 15, and 16. And then we have our data sets for the limit and then for all the countries with their colors and their data. It seems like they are storing some data in there. So it's fine. Cool. Okay. Yeah, all good. Let me just continue here. So we are finished with the Python code. Let's go to the templates and fix it in the, sorry, not in here, but in air pollution. Welcome.